Good morning, guys. How is everyone doing? It's Jane Ferrano here, and I'm hoping you're all having a very blessed day. I am fixed up and ready to go about my day, but I wanted to take a second and have a little talk with you. And I think the question that keeps coming back to me lately, and that's why I always bring you this stuff, is it's like what shows up in my world that makes me think that this could be useful to someone else. And this is the question I have for you to truly think about and answer as honestly to yourself as you possibly can. And that question is this: who have you put in your life that you rely on for your happiness? Like if you're having bad days or you need that pick me up, who is that person that's going to pick you up? And do you have that person in your life? So here's the thing that I've been thinking about. We all need that person that is able to help us get out of a bad mood, help us talk through a problem when we have one. I have that in my husband. I have that in my family. I have a lot of family that I really care about and value their opinion. My husband is the number one person. And I have very good friends that I now can go to and get good advice from. But what if you have put too much burden on one person for your happiness? And a lot of times that can be a spouse or even a best friend or something like that, where the shift has been made, where it becomes unhealthy, where it becomes you don't know how to make yourself happy, but you are relying on another person to make you happy. And I really want you to think about that. Are you able to make yourself happy? Or do you rely on someone else to lift you up and make you happy? I've had to have some serious conversations with a few people in my life because, they really do depend on me for their happiness as opposed to finding happiness within themselves. So what I'm doing is I'm not cutting them off or telling them that this is going to stop and no more of this. What I'm doing is I'm encouraging them to find happiness in themselves so that when we talk, then I can help maybe lead them in a certain direction, help them come up with ideas. But ultimately, it's not my burden or my responsibility to fill someone else up, including my husband. Now, my husband doesn't need that. My husband is the happiest person I know. He truly has been through so much suffering with his body and his aches and pains that I am always in awe of how happy he stays in all of that. I know his faith in God has been a huge part of that. God can give you peace like no one else can, including me. He loves me to death. He relies on me. We talk about things every morning, but he does not rely on me for his happiness. I hope this makes sense. Because if you're relying on another person to provide you with happiness, and without that person you would not be able to be happy, that's too much burden on that person. And it's not fair to you. Like you need to find love and happiness of yourself so that you can give that back to others. If you don't have love of yourself, you can't really give love. You really can't. You can try, you can be there for others, but ultimately it breaks down your self-esteem, it breaks down really your spirit. You need to work on finding love of yourself, finding happiness from yourself. Like what makes you happy? What can you do today that would cause you to be joyful on your own with no other person? And if you can't think of what that is, I beg of you to take the time to consider and to do something today that gives you joy and happiness without the influence of someone else. I want you to really evaluate, are you a burden to someone else, or are you really using another person to enhance your life? Or have you put the burden on that other person to truly just bring you happiness, and without them you would not have any? I know this sounds like a little bit of an odd conversation to have, but it's a really important one because we all need to learn to have happiness within ourselves. That just is the only way you ever have true peace and happiness. You cannot rely on another person for that. I offer faith in God to you. I think that for me, that has been the biggest joy and the biggest but the biggest thing I can do when I'm in a bad mood or a bad place or I'm depressed or I'm struggling, that my faith in God is what gets me through all of that, and He is the one that brings me peace and joy. So I would like to put that out there and to have you consider that as an option. But gosh, guys, don't put a burden on somebody else to bring you happiness. It's not fair to them or to you. Go find peace in yourself. Thank you. Have a blessed day, and we'll be talking soon. Bye-bye.